So how important is your product's story? Hi, I'm Brian Pombo. Welcome back to Brian J. Pombo Live, brought to you every day here in Grants Pass, Oregon, or wherever I happen to be. Today we're here in the headquarters, undisclosed location for BrianJPombo.com. And if you are a business owner or an executive that's in the self-reliance field, and you're somebody that I would like to talk to, go to DreamBizChat.com. Check out this video that I have there. It's 8.5 minutes long. It'll give you the chance to take advantage of something that has a $600 value. So go to DreamBizChat.com, check it out, let me know what you think. We're going to talk about story today and the stories that revolve around certain products. I have a link down below. You'll want to go check this out if you're interested in the story that I'm about to tell you. And this link is from a YouTube video from a very well-known YouTuber by the name of The Carpetbagger. And The Carpetbagger travels around to really off-the-wall, odd places, and cool places too. And it's funny because he's at the Chicago it's a Oddities and Curiosities Expo, I think it was called, and this was about a month ago. And a lot of the stuff is really crazy. I'm just going to warn you, it's not necessarily everything, and it's family friendly. A lot of gross stuff and everything that is at this expo that he's going to. He's not doing anything, but he's showing a lot of the stuff that's going on there. But partway through the video, he's talking to a guy about vampire survival kits. Now, what vampire survival kits are, you'll see these in places like Ripley's Believe It or Not. I think this guy worked for Ripley's Believe It or Not, which they have these places all scattered around the country, and places where you'll find little freak show items and so forth. And they'll have these things called vampire survival kits. The story behind these things, and there's this big elaborate story about how these were created in the late 1800s with all of the books and everything that were coming out during the time, Bram Stoker's Dracula and so forth, that were attracting travelers from America and beyond into Europe. And so they started building these cases, which were called they were called either a vampire survival kit or something of that sort, a vampire killer kit or what have you. And it would have, the holy water and the crucifix and the stake that you could use to drive through the heart and everything else. And they're these big elaborate kits, and they have this long story behind them. Turns out these stories have been perpetuated through time, and turns out that story about these particular kits that are out there is not true at all. It turns out that this was part of a story that was brought onto a story for these kits that were developed somewhere in the 1970s. That there was one particular person that started putting these kits together. They would take items that were older and place them inside of this kit to make it appear older than it really was. And he created this story to go along with it that made the kit seem like it had some history behind it, even though it was history which was fake unto itself and made to look fake, but it had this big long story associated with it. Your story doesn't need to be true, and I'm not saying go out there and make a lie about your product, but see how important the story is. True or untrue is irrelevant when it comes to the story and marketing. So it's also something to keep in mind as a consumer. If you're hearing a story, never assume that it's true. But sit back and watch how you react to stories that come out regarding products and services that are out there. Everything gets sold on a story. There's always a story that goes along with your most favorite items. If you look at Disneyland, one of the most common things get brought up, anything that's produced by the Disney company. All of that has this background, whether you know about it or not, whether you're old enough to know about it or not, all this history going back to Walt Disney and his brother, who created this company, and everything they had a background story behind how it got put together. And then they have myths that have been perpetuated through time about each of these things, and even the concept of Walt being frozen basically frozen in carbonite after he died just so that he could be unfrozen someday. All these things, some of them are true, some of them are untrue, but the stories are what bind a person to your product or service. It's the story that goes behind it. And it does matter how you bring it about, because it matters whether the right person hears the story. But the story is a huge part of your message and something you really shouldn't forget. If you'd like to see how your story affects your products or your lack of story and what you should be looking for in developing a story behind your products and services, then definitely go and look up some of my other videos. If you'd like to talk to me, go to brianjpombo.com. You're welcome to sign up for a strategy session with me. And like I said, if you're in the self-reliance field, and you'll want to go to dreambizchat.com. So that's all we got for today. Tomorrow we're going to pay attention to story again, give you another angle, the same idea of what they call story selling. So we'll talk about that more tomorrow. Have a great night and get out there and let the magic happen.